Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. It is me, Lex. Thank you so much if you are here. It's so crazy to finally put myself out here on these YouTube streets, okay? This is my second video. I have a little story time there about how I got laid off actually on Monday. And so it was one of the things that took the push to just start YouTube, to just get these videos out here. I have a lot of extra time, but I also wanted to prioritize doing things that I enjoy. So I would absolutely love it if you guys could share these videos, subscribe, leave comments, leave likes, just anything. Girl, I'm a new YouTuber. I'm a mini channel. If you are seeing this, you probably one of the 20 people seeing this, so I would love it if you guys could do that. Thank you so much. But anyways, today we are going to talk about Love is Blind, this train wreck messy show that I am obsessed with, that I cannot stop watching, is back again. Okay, we are here on season 6 and this is going to be episode 1. So for any reason, if this video happens to blow up and people start saying, please do not put other episodes in the spoilers, okay? Please, please, please. I only watched episode 1 because doing this for videos, you got to take notes, and I was not about to be taking notes on 2 episodes. So please, please, please don't put spoilers, but we're gonna talk about this season. I didn't get to do a cast reveal video. I actually recorded one, but you know, I'm new to this YouTube thing, so it ended up just being a hot mess, and I was like, I'm not gonna get it up in time, so I'm just gonna start with the episodes. Okay, so let's just get right into it. And I'm gonna review the episode in chronological order because that's how I have my notes. So if you see me sitting here, I literally have my iPad, or looking here, I should say, I have my iPad with notes, and I'm just gonna go kind of in chronological order and then touch on some of the bigger things that happen, because there's already big things happening. This joint just started and there's already big things happening. Okay, so at the beginning we get this little montage of the full season, and I for the life of me can't remember if they always do this, but one thing that I did notice and pick up and see is that they had black people. Okay, we saw AD, and I'm pretty sure we saw Kenneth in like the montage of the rest of the season. So that's really good, because I feel like we usually only get one black person max. Now I will say it looked like already from the first episode that we're not going to see, I think, Ashley, Miss Thickums, so thick, so beautiful, but it doesn't look like we're going to see Ashley, along with the other guy, I can't remember his name, but that was wearing the tinted glasses and a blue suit that's a little tight in the arms. Him, it didn't look like we saw much of him. We got a lot of Clay, we got a lot of AD, so we'll touch on them later. But basically, we see that little scene with Nick and Vanessa going into the separate girls pod and the separate boys pod, or guys pod, and they ask them, what do you want to see in this experiment? What are you looking for? What are your expectations? Or what do you think is something that's misrepresented? Kenneth speaks up and he says, I'm 25, but I'm ready. Now, this might be controversial, but I'm gonna need Married at First Sight, Love is Blind, any show where you are walking in and you are immediately getting married. I'm going to need these shows to stop putting 25-year-olds. And I say this as somebody who's 26. Now, I do turn 27 in a couple of months, but nonetheless, as somebody who's 26 and also as somebody who was married, yes, fun fact, I got married when I was 22. I got divorced when I was 24. Stop putting people who are so young in these shows. They are not ready. You're not ready. A 25-year-old guy is not ready to be married. That might be controversial. That might be, you might say, girl, no. Stop putting these 25-year-olds in this show. Okay, I'm 26 and I just recently got engaged, right? And I'm gonna be turning 27, and probably when I get married, I'm gonna either be like almost 28 or at least in the 27. And I still sometimes feel like I am young. I feel like I'm getting married young compared to some people, you know? So at the end of the day, stop it, stop it. We also see Jessica, and Jessica is the girl of the season who, she's a single mother. We saw that in a lot of the previews. She has a 10-year-old daughter with someone from another relationship. That will come up, keep that in mind. But Jessica, they ask her, like, are you gonna tell people about this? Are you gonna like kind of put that out firsthand? And Jessica is all like, no, I'm not going to immediately say that because being a mom is not the most important thing to me. That's not my only personality trait. There's so much more to me. And I want to preface this and say this. I kind of get it, right? I don't have a kid. But as somebody who is married, I think that was a big thing in dating where I was like, when do I tell people that I was married? And it wasn't necessarily something that I would tell them right off the bat. But at least in my case, I did not go past the first date giving that vital information because there are people that feel some type of way. And we actually even see this later in the episode with one of the girls revealing that she was married. And one of the guys was like, okay. But seriously, like, I think that this is something that, while I don't think Jessica has to come right in and say, I'm a mom, I do think that if you're having conversations, you need to be telling people that in that first conversation, because that's a big deal. Some people don't want kids. Some people are not ready to have kids. And the reality is, some people want their first kid to be with their partner who's also having their first kid. And whether that's okay or not, whether that's debatable, controversial, whatever, there's just stipulations with that where people don't want to be with somebody who has a child already. In the same way that when I was seeing about being married and yada, 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 there were people that did not want to be with somebody who had already been married, right? There are people that maybe they're highly religious and that's just not something they approve of. And whether I agree with that or think it's right, I gave them the information in order to take it and use it the way they wanted to. So I think with Jessica, I understood what she was saying, didn't love her approach in the pods. Trevor. Let's talk about Trevor. There's three people. Two people I'm not feeling. Trevor and Clay. I'm not feeling either one of them. We'll talk about Clay later. But Trevor, how many times is this man gonna say, people tend to misjudge me because I got big muscles. I got a mullet. People tend to misjudge me because, I'm a big meathead. People think I'm a meathead. Okay, Trevor. You could just say you got big muscles. You could just say you got big muscles. It's all right. You can just say, yo, my muscles is big. Okay, so anyways, now we go on to the conversations. The first conversation we see is Trevor and Chelsea. Chelsea is the flight attendant who she reveals that she didn't go to college, but she's a flight attendant. She definitely seems very very kind of that girl that's spontaneous, down to do everything, didn't take a traditional path in life. Not sure how I feel about her yet, but her and Trevor, they both realize that they have dogs. They both have dogs, and Trevor's dog's name is Chelsea. So Chelsea kind of makes a joke that her dog's name is Trevor. At least I think she was kidding. If she was serious, that's pretty funny, but I think she was trying to make a joke there. It did seem like they had very good chemistry though, and a very similar sense of humor. They made a lot of jokes that kind of bounced off of each other. So I do think that's good for them. I could definitely see them together. And Chelsea was so funny that she was like, I was so ready for a husband that I literally went to Home Depot. I went to the Home Depot. I went down to the Lowe's. I went down to the Home Depot, girl, to find me a man. But that's pretty funny. We also see Chelsea and Jimmy. Jimmy is really boring. I'm sorry. He is boring. That's all I had. I literally in my notes wrote Chelsea and Jimmy, boring. At least at this point of the episode. Jimmy will come into play later in this episode, but as of right now, their first conversation, boring. I was bored. Okay, now we see Jessica and Jimmy together, and from the beginning of the episode, these two were definitely clicking. It seemed like they had kind of a lot of similar viewpoints. Obviously, I think Jessica coming in, she's not looking to just play around, right? She has a kid, her daughter's 10. She does want to find somebody that genuinely is interested in marriage. Now, do I think Jessica should be here as a single mom? I mean, look, I think anybody can want to go get married, but this is crazy to me that you're going to get married at first sight or get married blindly with somebody and you have a kid. I don't know. To me, that's a little weird, but more power to her. But I could see these two together. When they were having conversations, they both seemed to have that same level of seriousness, directness when they talk. It definitely seemed like they're both mature. And so that was good. Then we have Jessica and Matthew. Now, I ain't gonna hold you. In the beginning of this episode, Matt kind of lost me. Okay, Matt, I was really like, why they bring this man here? But I will say towards the end, Matt redeemed himself. So we'll talk there. But Matt comes into this and we get like a little montage of him literally asking multiple different people, pick a number. And then he literally has a pre-written question on the piece of paper, which I ain't gonna hold y'all. Okay, it looked weird on the TV. But I'm just gonna say some of these people, when they're conversing, you could clearly tell they don't know what to say. They don't know what to talk about. So I think if you are a person that's a little on the anxious side, it obviously and clearly seems like Matt's a little on the anxious, quiet, introverted side, write down some questions. I would probably write down questions too. I'm not gonna lie to you. However, Jess tries to ask Matt the question back. His question was like, what do you see in your partner or something like that. I don't remember the question, but he asked her that. That was on his question list. And then she turns around and she's like, oh, but what do you think? And he literally gets up and walks out of the room. I was like, Matt. And then we literally see Matt. Again, we get another montage of this man continuously walking out the room. I'm like, Matt. I literally, my notes was like, toxic. He was not feeling it. He was talking to one girl, talking about how he felt uncomfortable talking about love. And I'm like, then why are you here? Why are you on a show where you have to start the show talking to people? If you're uncomfortable, that's fine. But don't meet somebody in a show where they literally have to decide if they like you based off your voice and conversation. This man was not having a conversation in the beginning. Like I said, Matt redeemed himself, but in the beginning. So then we see Matt and AD, and AD is our beautiful dark-skinned woman. She is from Boston. Me too, baby. Fellow Bostonian right here. Dark-skinned. She used to be a cheerleader for the Pats, and we do get some clips of her talking about how she only dated like athletes, ballers. I mean, you're a Pats cheerleader, so I'm sure she's been with like football players. But we see Matt and AD and they are talking and like they are very much connecting. And it's like one of those things where you chip the outside and they're really connecting with one another. She's giggling, she's flattered, she's laughing. And I'm like, please pick this connection because AD does have another connection, okay? But I was like, please pick this connection. Like when she really got to talking to this man, he seemed like a great guy. He seemed kind. He seemed nice. And the thing is, like, it does seem like they could share similar values, which is really nice. I don't know. I am a little worried about him because I think we saw in the beginning that he seems to just kind of walk out and there may be a bit of a communication issue there. But I really feel like he could be a solid partner for her, okay? So then we see AD's other match, which is Clay. I'm not feeling Clay. I am not feeling AD and Clay. I think Clay is probably pretty similar to the other guys that AD has been with. So it feels comfortable. He's that smooth talker, oh, I just want to cuddle up on you, babe. I just want to love on you. I'm pretending this blanket you right now. And I just want to hug up on you and kiss up on you, girl. I just want you. Save it. Now, I feel like AD is attracted to him because he's familiar. I think she can also probably tell he's black because she does mention about Matt being white. So I do think she can also tell that Clay's black, and I think the combo of those two things for real is making her like really feel this guy and really be into him like that. But I'm gonna be honest, I don't see it. I didn't really see a lot of chemistry between those two. In their conversations, I think He's flirty. I think he's one of those guys that's very charismatic, very big personality, very like, you know, you talking to him and you like, but like, I didn't really see chemistry there. I didn't actually see like a deep chemistry or feel like there was a really something there. So for me personally, I don't know about those two. I'm not thinking Clay and AD is gonna be the way to go personally. Okay, so I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling it. We do get a little scene of everybody in the lounge, which was pretty funny. And like we see all the girls talking about their connections. And then we see all the guys and Matt is like kind of just in the corner. And everybody's like, does Matt even talk? What's wrong with Matt? Like somebody was like, somebody get that MF to talk. And I was like, y'all is mean. But he was really just like in the corner on his book writing, which like I said, who am I to talk? Girl, I know it doesn't seem like it from these videos, but I'm introverted too, okay? So I'll probably will be on the corner writing in my book and all the girls will be like, what's wrong with her? So I get it. I do think it was funny. Okay. So we see Jess and Jimmy talking. This is their second conversation. And in this conversation is where Jess reveals that she has a daughter to Jimmy. So this is the next day, I'm pretty sure. It could have even possibly been a couple of days later. It's clear that there's been some time elapsed between their first conversation and this conversation right now. And so Jessica, she reveals that she has a daughter, and Jimmy is clearly like, what the fuck? And you know what? I'm gonna be honest with you. I think he's justified. I do. I'm sorry. I think he's justified. I don't really think it was fair for Jessica to just kind of be like, well, I just want people to see me and I don't want people to see me as a mom. It's like, girl, but you have a kid. If you get married, that kid is going to be an integral part of every single thing you do. Same with being in a relationship. It's not like it's like, oh, I have a cat. Where like, okay, that's a big deal, but like not really. You have a full-blown child. You did not tell this man. And now you're like, I think Jimmy is very justified. And he was literally speechless. Jimmy was like, oh, okay, it's not a deal breaker. Yeah, like he didn't know what to say. And I understand that, because what do you say? If I was going on a date with a guy, right, and we went on 2-3 dates, and then on the third date he decides to be like, I have a kid. If it was me, I would have been no. I ain't gonna hold you. I would have been finished. I would have been like, absolutely not. And not solely for the fact that he has a kid, but for the fact that you did not bring that up until we are well into this whole thing. And as we all know, with Love is Blind, things move really quickly because all they do is talk to each other when they're in the pod. So people say that it feels like 2, 3, 4, maybe even a month worth of conversation in 8-9 days. So I do not, for me, I understood Jimmy's reaction. And I think also, I think Jimmy wanted to say more, but I think now with Love is Blind, these people are very conscious that they're on TV. So I think Jimmy was like, oh, but like they're very conscious they're on TV. They're very conscious that people like me is sitting in my chair and talking about them. And so that's there. That's that. Jessica does reveal that the father is still part of Autumn's life, because Jimmy does ask, so were you guys married? Were you guys together? And Jessica basically says it's a high school sweetheart. She moved around a lot, but he was always a constant. She got pregnant senior year of high school. And the father is part of Autumn's life, which I think also for Jimmy was a lot. I think, I'm sorry, that's a lot. I keep saying this because I think it is a lot to be like, I have a kid, the baby daddy is still involved, and now you need to come into not only potentially being in the role of a step-parent or stepfather, but you also need to deal with the fact that I have a baby daddy and he is part of the triangle, he's part of the equation, and that is a lot to spring on somebody. That is a lot to spring on somebody. I am glad that the baby's father is still in the baby's life and whatever, and that's great. But I just think this is a lot. I also think she doesn't have a baby, right? Because I think it's different also if you have a baby and you kind of are raising a kid from when they're 2-3 years old, right? I think that's a little different. But Autumn's child is 10 years old. And also, how is it gonna work if they do the shared apartment afterward? Because I have a lot of questions about her having a child. Because afterwards they do a shared apartment. So is the father gonna have the kid the entire time? She's not gonna see her kid even once? Are they both gonna meet the kid? Is the kid gonna live with a stranger in a shared apartment? I just don't know about this. I understand that we want to see like single parents or, different kinds of couples in this show. But I feel like when they do try to bring in like these kind of single parents or people like that, it's just like, what? How is this logistically gonna work? Because that child should not be around that man. Like, she doesn't even know him. And I hope the father has definitely stepped in and been like, okay, cool, you wanna do your little Love is Blind thing, but you better make sure my daughter is safe. I will keep her this whole time. Because this is crazy. And then if they do get married, is the daughter immediately gonna live with the stranger that from what is gonna happen with her having a child? Like, I actually have a lot of questions. What is going to happen with her having a child? Okay, let's keep going. So Jimmy's not having it. Jimmy is like, help me. So then we have Jimmy and Chelsea. So Chelsea basically in this conversation reveals that she was married at 18 years old and they were together for 5 years. I don't have a lot to say there. I mean, Jimmy was like, boom, boom. Like, both of the women that he wanted to be with, boom, boom. It's just hitting. But, yeah, Jimmy's basically like, it's not a deal breaker. Sorry if I need to like change the conversation to catch my thoughts, basically. And he does, I will say this. He makes a comment where he's like, because Chelsea's like, I said, are you okay? Like, is everything good? And Jimmy's like, yeah, no, I'm good. I mean, it wouldn't be the first like really big news that I've gotten today. And she's like, wait, with me? And he's like, oh, no, with somebody else. And then Chelsea's like, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Like, oh my God, so sorry. Oh, my bad, whoops. And then Jimmy's like, no, it's okay. Just excuse me though, if I need to like collect my thoughts and like just kind of change the subject. It's been a long day. Chelsea starts sobbing. And she actually ends up walking out of the room. And Jimmy's like, you know what I mean? He just walked like, Jimmy down bad. Jimmy is down bad, okay? First day of the pods or first few days of the pods, Jimmy is down bad. We'll just say that. So Trevor and Chelsea, they also talk. And, Trevor and Chelsea are definitely getting pretty serious. It does seem like Chelsea and Trevor both have that same kind of like just bubbly, I like to be outdoorsy personality. I like to be doing a bunch of stuff type of personality. I don't know. When you meet people like those two and they just click. So they're getting pretty serious. Trevor does kind of say that he wants to be with Chelsea. He likes her. He wants her. And I just wrote Jimmy is effed. Like, Jimmy, pack your bags, because I don't think you're going to be with anybody here. I don't think you're going to be with anybody here if you don't want to be with Jess, who has a kid. And I think Chelsea is kind of on the Trevor train now, okay? So we get a little montage of Nolan, which we didn't see Nolan, but he calls his chest hair taco meat. Like, I have heard people call it BDBs or taco meat, but I was like, ew, oh, sir. Okay. AD and Clay. AD and Clay. I literally put in my notes, there it goes. There it goes. I told y'all I ain't trust him. From the minute I saw that man on my screen, from the minute I saw that man in my previews, I said, I do not trust him. So basically, AD and Clay get into a conversation about physical attraction. Clay is basically trying to persuade AD to tell him what she looks like, because he says he must be attracted to the person he's with. You know, he goes on to proceed to say, I've always liked petite girls with a nice little butt, lips, all of these different things. And AD is just like, what in the world? You know, he literally asked her what she looked like. And not only that, but it was like, why are you here in the first place? Why are you here in the first place? If you're gonna see somebody who does not have the exact look that you are looking for, and you're gonna be turned off. Like, for me, I just think it's so sad. It is absolutely so sad. If you're just here all about looks, all about looks. This man is really trying to persuade her. They talk about this back and forth for quite a while, where he's like, well, I have to be attracted. I have to be attractive. She has to look good. And I feel bad, because as a black woman, she knows she's talking to a black man. She knows she's talking to a black man. And as a black woman, you have to be worried, right? That we aren't what they want. And so for him to be saying all of this, I can understand for AD how she's probably like, oh great, here we go again. Here we go again. Here we go again. AD even says it defeats the purpose. And it's absolutely right. It defeats the purpose if you know exactly what the person looks like. Then why are you here if love isn't blind for you? And let's be for real. We already know love ain't blind. We've had plenty of people on this show who have not been physically attracted to somebody, and that has ruined the entire thing. But I just feel like to be so bold and to go in knowing that you are a physical type of person. Because at the end of the day, guess what? Some people are physical first, everything else next. And I'm not going to say that's right, wrong, that I agree with you. But some people are physical first, everything else next. And if you are that kind of person, why are you here? This is not the show for you. I need AD to run for the hills. I'm serious. I don't know if he likes black women or not. I don't know anything about him. But all I know is that for him to be making this big old deal because of trying to figure out what she looks like, I just don't think this is going to end well at all with these two. And I'm telling you, I am not feeling Clay. I am not feeling Clay. I don't think this man is ready to be here. I think he's immature. And it's just not for me. It's not for me. AD goes back into the pods and she's talking about how it totally defeats the purpose, but she likes him, so she's debating whether she should just tell him just to see. And in the end, she says she's not going to tell him. And remember, we only talk about episode 1. Please don't put no damn spoilers. Please don't put no spoilers in the comments. Okay? So in episode 1, she says she's not going to tell him because she doesn't want to defeat the purpose. So that's great. We do see AD with her other connection, which is Matt. And I want AD and Matt to be together. Please, AD, pick Matt. Oh my goodness. She says, he says to her that he feels a deep connection and that it's either her or nothing. He says that she's okay with him being a white man because she could tell he's white, which I thought was funny in the little confessional. And I'm like, why can't these two be together? Like, these two, they both seem like they are mature, level-headed. Now, I'm gonna be honest. I don't know what kind of person AD is, okay? But I know you was a patch cheerleader. You probably went to a lot of football parties and different little things. And I don't think Matt is that kind of person. I don't think Matt is that kind of person. I do think if AD and Matt get together, they're going to very much have to get used to each other. I think they're going to have to get used to one another. But I do feel like there is something there. Like, I see it when they talk. I think it's one of those very unusual connections that works. And so Matt is basically saying, I feel a very deep connection with you. I was thinking about you. I just really have noticed it's you or I'm out. So that's what he tells AD. You always know it's still going to be true, right? I'm talking about Matt. I'm saying Matt's so great. They get back to the pods. Oh, I forgot to mention one little part. Matt asks how AD's dad would feel about this whole thing, about her getting married, Love is Blind or whatever. And AD reveals that her father actually passed away the previous year in September, or like last September, she said. So they have a little moment where it's like, oh my God. And she's like, it's good. And he makes a little joke that at least he doesn't have that roadblock. So they go back to the pods. And AD is talking, and she's talking a lot. And Amber starts to talk about how she had a really good date with Matt. Then she goes on to reveal that Matt told Amber, she went on to tell AD, to say that Matt also asked her if her dad would have been okay with her getting married, and what he would think of all of this. So poor AD is sitting here like, and that's why I wrote in my notes, I think Matt's the better choice. I do. Like, quality of man wise, I think Matt is the better choice. However, I think she's gonna end up going with Clay. I do. I really think she's going to end up going with Clay. It doesn't look like Clay has any other connections in the pods whatsoever. So I'm pretty sure she's going to end up going with Clay. So that is all that I have got here, guys, for episode 1. As I said, we are starting off strong. There's already a lot going on. I will have recaps up for every single episode, so just keep it up. I probably will have episode 2 up as well. Maybe today, if not tomorrow morning. Just keep an eye out. That's why you gotta subscribe. But that is all. That is all. These people, this is gonna be a mess. This is going to be a mess. But that is all I have for you guys today. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, anything. This is a new channel. If you're seeing this, you're probably one of a few. So please, if you like this, if you thought it was funny, if you watched it till here, you're a real one. But I will talk to you guys in the next one. Bye.